The man who kept trying.
He was the kind of man people forgot about as soon as they turned away. His name was John. He lived in a small house on the edge of town where the dust settled on the porch and the wind carried the sound of laughter from the square. Laughter that was sometimes about him. He had failed at everything he had ever tried. He failed at school. He failed at work. He failed in love. It wasn't for lack of trying. He tried harder than anyone. He woke up early, went to bed late, and spent every hour in between doing his best to make something of himself. But life had a cruel way of knocking him down each time he stood up. People in town used to joke about him. He was the town's joke. There goes poor John, they'd say. If failure were an art, he'd be a master. He laughed with them sometimes, pretending it didn't hurt. But it did. The words stayed with him long after the laughter faded. At home, he would sit by the dim light of an old lamp, books spread across the table. He read about success, about picking oneself up after failure, about perseverance and grit. He told himself that one day things would change, that hard work would pay off, as everyone said. But deep down, he knew it never did for him. Still, he kept going. That was his curse, and maybe his only strength. He had tried to be a soccer player once, but he was too slow and got cut from the team. He tried to be a singer, but his voice cracked under pressure. He tried to be a writer, but no one read a single page he wrote. Then he tried his hand at being a mechanic, but every engine he touched seemed to break twice as fast. He studied hard to become an engineer, but he failed every exam. He even tried to join the police force, thinking discipline might save him, but he couldn't pass the physical test. Later he opened a small shop, but it failed within a month. He planted a garden behind his house, yet the soil was poor and nothing grew except weeds. He tried many things. He failed at everything. His family stopped believing in him long ago. They told him to give up, to face the music and accept that he wasn't cut out for much. However, giving up wasn't something he could do. There was always a small voice in his head whispering, "Try again." So he did, again and again. At night, when the town was quiet and the moon hung low over the hills, John would sit outside and stare at the stars. He thought about all the things he could have been, all the chances that had slipped through his fingers. He wasn't bitter, not anymore, just tired. He knew he would fail again, whatever he tried next. Nonetheless, he also knew he would try anyway, because that's what he did. That's who he was. And in some strange way, that stubbornness, that refusal to give up, was its own kind of victory. John died an old man, an old failure, as the town used to joke. Yet after he was gone, people began to tell stories about him. They spoke of a man who never stopped trying, who spent his whole life chasing the simple wish to be good at something. In time, John became a kind of legend in the town, a quiet symbol of perseverance and stubborn hope. And now, when someone fails and feels ready to give up, people say, "Be a John and try again." Thank you for listening to English Audio Lounge. We hope you have enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more audio stories and video classes to improve your English.